Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds post-game live. Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan. The Eagles come out of the bye. Adam, they play a Browns team that is struggling. Eagles trying to get right themselves. And in the end, they get a few big plays there that they need, and they pull out the 20-16 win in Week 6, and they go back to 3-2. There's a lot to talk about in this game. Probably not the prettiest game, Adam.
You think?
That, but it's a win. I have a couple of quick takeaways that I want to start with this because I do feel like people will be not thrilled with the win given how bad the Browns were. And I can get it. But one thing we've talked about all year long, limiting turnovers, stop, playing more carefully on offense without losing your aggression. They did not turn the ball over other than the special teams mistake. On offense, they didn't turn the ball over. They were able to get the big play presence from A.J. Brown. We talked about the physicality that he brings. And to me, that's a stepping stone for the offense in the right direction. Still some things to fix defensively. I see you're convincing me there. I get it. It wasn't pretty. We can tee off on some decisions. That's fine. But if they had turned the ball over today, they would have lost the game, in my opinion, and that would have been.
Might have been. I mean, well, Watson's an awful quarterback. He's so bad. It's like kind of you want to look away. He's so bad that kind of sets them back so badly. And that was on your point. Like if they turn it over in their minus territory, as bad as Watson is, they made a couple throws today.
Yeah,
they could have won. Yeah, they look. This is a game. Folks need to understand this. The Eagles should have thrown like every down. Why do I say that? It sounds ridiculous, but let me explain. They're down 3 safeties. The 2 starting safeties are out. They're down another safety. They're down Denzel Ward. I don't know where he left the game early. I don't think I saw him come back. They couldn't run the ball to save their life. Throw the football. That's what good coaching is. Belichick's always talked about this. What's it going to take to win the game today? Throw the football. Throw the football. I get that Fred Johnson had to play for my lot in the fourth quarter. Wasn't a problem. Throw the football. That was a mistake tactically, really bad mistake. It could have caught them. When you start running the football when it's that close, you're gonna make the game closer than it should be. So that was a major tactical error by Sirianni and Kellen Moore. They should have thrown it way more. I thought Hurts was kind of courageous. It wasn't a crisp game by him by any leaps or bounds, but Goddard leaving the game in the second series and not returning with a hamstring injury, that crushed them. They had very little, like usual, inside passing game. That was concerning. Calcaterra had a nice catch. I was looking at my notes here. They also had another catch and run later, but they had a couple inside. That they did what they usually do. They're big on the shallow crosses. They had those going on. But this is a game where they couldn't run the football. I would have come out and thrown like crazy until they show me they can't stop it.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the one area where you can question why you didn't run the football was why, when Saquon Barkley gets out of bounds and you have that short yardage, why don't you just push there? They try to pass. Fine. We will and can nitpick at some certain things. And to me, so I'll throw it back to you on this. I'm going to make one point about injuries and then throw it back to you because you're grimacing more so than I thought about some of the points. The injuries suck because just when you get Lane Johnson back, you lose Mailata. Just when you get you lose Goddard, just when you get Smith and Brown back. And so this continues to hurt the offense as far as a rhythm and a connection standpoint. But I agree it was eyesore, and I'm sort of making a big deal out. You didn't turn the ball over, and you made the big plays to A.J. Brown when you needed them. Because I asked you on Friday in our pod that dropped Friday morning, do style points matter? And you said no. It's all about getting the win. And I was sort of on this.
Well, I didn't mean it that way. You know what I said is give me detail. You got to give me context of you because everyone in the city is like, and you were included. I'll include you there because you were pretty clear on it. You're not the only one. Thousands upon thousands of people like they got to blow them out or it's not good enough. Okay.
Yeah, I thought they needed to win by double digits to feel that they were back is what I meant. Like to really feel like confident that the wrongs were righted. And I sit here today and we'll go through it. I still feel like there's a lot of wrongs that need to be righted for this team to really truly be what they're supposed to be. They're far from that. So I don't have any problem saying that.
Well, you say wrongs. Tell me. Well, let's put it this way. Before we get deep into I got a lot of notes here. I'll give you a cliff notes later. But what do you think they did well today?
What I thought they did well today was not turning the ball over. What I
Okay.
thought they did well today was throwing outside the numbers to A.J. Brown. And then, of course, they do run the shallow crosses occasionally. They'll get the big play like they did against the Saints, and there was certainly a big one to Devontae Smith. That's what I thought they did right today. And defensively, I tell you, I'm not as impressed overall because I think they tried to do some things differently. You saw Vic Fangio bringing more pressure. You saw him run blitzing more, but they were still exposed on the edge. I don't see the 5 sacks as symptomatic of a great pass rush. I see that as symptomatic of Deshaun Watson not knowing what to do and running into a couple of pressures and then still giving up some big plays to a team that was bereft of big plays. I mean, granted, Njoku played and he's tough. I didn't know he was going to play. We thought he wasn't. But the point is a better offensive team, I think, really. I mean, the Browns ran the ball for way too well for what I thought that they were going to be able to do. So I'm not sure the defensive wrongs are righted.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Offensively, protection for the most part was good. I mean, that was definitely a positive. I thought that was I like that. I thought Gainwell did a really nice job. I know it was a brief cameo in the second half, but I liked the plays that they ran him on. I thought that was. And then what I thought was breaking news, Jahan Dotson was found. No more APB. They actually found him. He actually made a couple plays. In fact, 2 impactful plays. He finally did something. First time as an Eagle, catching actually one counted as a rush, and the other one was a pass. Both were impactful plays, both were first downs. Nice job by him. So that was good. I thought Calcaterra stepped up. I thought that was huge. He's an athlete. We know that. But look, it's going to change somewhat when you go 12 personnel. When you don't have Dallas Goedert, you're kind of handcuffed. For more in the pass and run game, there's no question about that. That was a major factor. But yeah, they probably left some plays on the board. We don't have access to the all 22 yet, so we don't know how many plays they left on the board. Did Hurts hold on the ball? Did he not throw when he should have, or should he have thrown it when a guy was open? Did he hold it? Did he not see it? We don't know that yet. We can't really comment. I'm not going to comment on that until we find out.
Sure.
We'll
so
do
what
that
is your overall big picture takeaway then? The Eagles are 3-2. They come out of the bye. They beat a bad team 2016.
I would say offensively left meat on the bone, but we need to see how much meat they left on the bone.
Mm-hmm.
I think tactically they have to be smarter. When a team is, you got to know personnel wise, when a team is down significantly on defense, all in secondary, okay? Their front seven, they had just about everybody except for Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks, the middle linebacker from Eagle. But they're down 3 safeties, their best corner, throw the football. You need to know that. And that's an adjustment in game. That's like, hey, Kellen, Nick says to Kellen, let's go, throw the ball, let's go. I know we want to run the ball. We can't, we can't run it. They're stopping us. We can't do anything unless Jalen had a couple nice runs. Throw the football. And we're protecting. See, that's the other thing. They protected pretty well. That I was pleasantly surprised after Lane left that it was still able to hold up with, when Mailata left, that they were able to hold up with Fred Johnson.
Yeah. So as we look at the big picture, they're 3-2. I think going into the year, and this is why you and I really avoid the whole win-loss thing when the schedule comes out, because the Browns look like they would be a formidable team. Remember, they were actually considered to be one of the 2 choices to play the Eagles in Brazil, right along with Green Bay.
Oh, yeah,
because both teams were pretty good. This one looked like it might be a tough game, and the Giants game might look like it would be a walkthrough. But as we sit here today, and now, the Giants still have to play, but the Giants have played better than most people think. And to me, you go up to the MetLife Stadium on Sunday, and I'm not expecting some one-sided affair. I think the Eagles still need to get a lot right to be able to win that game. But we're still early in the season. We'll have to see what the injuries look like first, because obviously those could impact the team going forward, definitely. But as people say, you get a win, you cherish the win. So the Eagles should and will do that. But a lot of things, and even though I came down on the defense saying it could be better, the Browns got 7 points from a field goal block. So really, they didn't score 16; they scored 9. But they're not that good. So they shouldn't have scored much more. They did move the ball a little more easily than I thought in some ways. And then the Eagles being only 5 of 14 on third down sort of concerned me as well. You look at some of their total metrics, just felt like it could. I think you summarized it best. There was some meat left on the bone there, but this isn't the first time either offensively or defensively meat's been left on the bone. So you have to wonder, when is that going to start to get cleaned up?
Yeah, let's go to defense. So I thought there were some good things with Nolan Smith, by the way, with Jalen Hunt. Sort of, they worked. I don't know. I didn't look today. We don't have the snap count. We won't get him until tomorrow. But remember, he had 5 snaps. The for the first time in his career, he got snaps in the last game before the bye against Tampa Bay. So that he's got to I don't know if he's feeling the heat, but he's got to continue to show up, and he showed up today a little bit.
Mhm.
That was good to see. The run fits were not good. There were. I'll tell you what, if they had a more explosive back, because remember Jerome Ford got hurt in the first quarter, he never returned. That crushed. And Deontay Foreman's not explosive. He's a power back, and Pierre Strong had one big play. So that's concerning. Their run fits were not good. Now, they used DeJean as an add-in defender, as a run blitzer. You saw that a lot today. That was like their big change. Yep. It helped sometimes, and it didn't help. And, boy, it got them a bit. So that's going to be a tape adjustment. We'll see. And then a couple tactical things that they did. We'll see what the snap count shows. So they did two things in nickel. Jordan Davis was taken out for Moro Ojoma, who showed up today. He had some big plays today. And you saw BG go inside a nickel, which we've seen in over the years. So clearly, and we don't know if it was every nickel play, every passing play, but a lot of them were Ojomo and BG playing inside. So Ojomo has been a player, man. He's been, if you look at who are these coaches developing, it would be Ojomo up front. He is getting better.
Yep, definitely. And obviously it helped the Eagles a little bit, a lot probably, that the Browns were down to their backup center. He got hurt. They had to slide their right guard to center. So they're on their third string center, and their backup right guard, Zinter, comes back in. So I'm sure that helped the Eagles a little bit. But the bottom line is you're trying to see signs of life and trying to see signs of schematic changes, to your point, Adam. And you saw it there. And then also Cooper DeJean, obviously playing the slot. We knew that was coming. Did you see Maddox play at all in the slot?
I didn't see him.
Like it was 100% Cooper DeJean as a slot interior corner.
Yeah, I think he played every snap. Don't worry about that. That Ojomo didn't show up in the box, or that's irrelevant. It's what the tape showed. He had some. He forced some plays. He blew some plays up. I thought he did a really good job. He got robbed for a sack that he should have gotten. But yeah, so DeJean. Now we'll see tomorrow. Maddox did get in there on defense. He actually had a tackle. I didn't see it, but I'm looking at the game book. So yeah, he did. BG is just amazing. I think about where they'd be without him.
I can't even imagine that when he stopped the sweep motion on 3rd and 1, that was a really critical play. And to your point
huge play.
Your point, I think Nolan Smith actually made. I'm going to go back and look at the tape. I think he made one of the most important plays in the game, and that's on the Browns' last drive when they got into the end zone and they run a designed run with Deshaun Watson to the right side. And it was one of those, a convoy blocking to the right, Watson's following, he gets to the 3, and then Nolan Smith gets off the block to make the tackle on Deshaun Watson to stop him right around the 2 or the 3, and they don't get the touchdown there. And that wound up being a pretty big play, and it's more significant. And again, I could be wrong. We'll watch the tape and see what happened, but it looked to me like he got off his block to be able to make that stop. So that was significant in that game. Yeah. And then, so the other schematic thing, Adam, we saw is more, and I will talk to Greg Cosell and others about this. I'm guessing that Vic employed more of a run blitzing strategy. You saw the linebackers pre-snap attacking the A-gaps, and you saw Cooper DeJean from the nickel position attacking the edge, right? A lot of times against, I don't think that was pass rush. I think that was run stopping, because it was on 1st and 2nd down, trying to get a little bit more downhill against the running backs. The only problem is I don't think it was all that successful. It's not like they had a bunch of tackles for a loss. It's not like they were able to slow up the Browns in the backfield too much. So I appreciate the schematic adjustment, but the Browns ran 25 times for 100 yards and basically strong, average 5.4 yards per carry. And then the one big play you mentioned, he caught a pass right on the right side, and Nakobe Dean he levels Nakobe Dean, gets 10 extra yards, and then Ringo comes and levels Pierre Strong, and you're thinking, my gosh, Kelee Ringo, a 4th corner, just made a better tackle attempt in the open field than your starting Mike linebacker.
Yeah, that was not good by Dean. We saw this in training camp. Before it was, the first 2 weeks of camp, that's when Dean was just struggling tackling, and it manifests itself in that night practice. And after that, he cleaned everything up. He basically ran Devin White off the team, quite frankly. But that was not good today. Rodgers seemed to play a lot. Again, we'll see the snap counts because Slay left, and Ringo's going to be targeted. He's just going to be targeted when he's in there. That's an alert to go after him. So that's something. If Slay's injury is serious enough that it keeps him out next week against the Giants, who can run, they got speed on the outside, man. They got all sorts of speed. They're not the biggest guys in the world, but they can run. Yep. That would worry me a little bit because of Ringo's stiffness. That's something teams are going to go after, as we were told why he was a fourth rounder. You like the length, but he has trouble transitioning, so that's a concern. Sweat showed up today. He had some plays, by the way. We should mention.
Yeah.
Well, he had some plays. Bryce Huff had a really good rush. He had a couple good run plays. I mean, he showed signs of life. Yeah. From a 1 to 10 so far, he'd been a 1 up until this game. So he showed up today a little bit. How much we'll find out.
And the question you just have to grapple with all week long and watching the All-22 is how much of – so I would say it was a pretty quiet 5-sack game, right? We've seen 5-sack games where the Eagles were just all over a QB, causing hits, causing bad throws. This, to me, again, was sort of Deshaun ran himself into a couple of sacks, and that's fine. Look, I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying I don't think if you asked the average Eagles fan who watched that game, who didn't know the stats, how many sacks the Eagles had, they would say 5. So it's a little bit of it's somewhat misleading, but it was good to see some of those guys show up. What would you, as we close that out on defense, they generally played a decent game, but they're still loose on the edges and they're still loose in run defense. Do you feel better, the same, or worse about the defense after this game? I kind of feel the same. Like not much better.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Can I give it in the middle? Am I allowed to?
Yes.
That's where I'm at. See, sacks are literally one individual play.
Right.
That's the thing you have to understand. That's on your point. That's exactly what happened. Because I thought the pressure was inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times where I'm like, what does Watson stares down pass targets like crazy?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't do, like when he was special 4 years ago, he wasn't doing that. He was getting rid of the football, or he'd scramble to make a play on the run. But anyway, and Njoku was playing with 2 injuries. Cooper wasn't the factor I thought he would be, but again, it's more because of Watson. So I would say overall, I'm still concerned. I'm concerned about a consistent pass rush. Tackling still is a problem. I'm not worried about I know what my eyes told me. The tackling was not good today. The run fits were poor. That's the thing is, you and I were texting. I'm like, there's another one. They were not aligned correctly. Don't understand it.
Yeah, that's going to have to get situated. They play the Ravens this year, don't they? And the Steelers this year. And if you're not on your run fits against those teams, you might as well not get off the bus. To be honest with you, if you're not going to know where your gap is or how to get off a block against those two teams, then you might not as well get off the bus. Some teams you can live with it, like the Browns. The Cowboys don't have much of a running game, but you know what? Washington the same way. They'll run the ball on you with Robinson and with Eckler, and if you're not ready for it, then you're going to be in trouble. Let's transition to offense. I'm on one positive I can take is that the Eagles did not run the ball well, which was bound to happen. I kind of had a feeling that when the way the Browns were playing, Greg and I talked about this on the pregame show, Adam, they were playing a lot of different fronts under Jim Schwartz. They were blitzing more. They were doing things in the gap that they didn't normally do back when Jim Schwartz was just, wide 9 and go get the running back on the way to the quarterback. So they're doing different things, and they did they mucked it up and made it difficult. So the Eagles they didn't abandon it. They ran 31 times.
Too many.
116 yards, probably too much in your opinion, right? 3.2 yards per carry.
I would have thrown the ball like crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand. But you also have to understand, like, we went into the bye week talking about the struggles of this offense and saying that one thing they need to do is probably balance out the offense before they get back to throwing the ball. That was a good thing.
That's fine, but not in this game. You have to adjust in game by what's
happening. Yeah, I know, but how do you abandon your core? You're struggling. So if you start throwing the ball and turning the ball over and struggling at them, you're going to be like,
you can't play scared, man. If you play scared, listen, if you play scared, you might as well bench the quarterback.
I mean, because I'm going back to our conversations and how disappointing they looked against the Bucs, their passing game, and remembering that these two guys just got back. They've only had 3 practices with Jalen Hurts. I know the Browns are banged up, but they're blitzing a lot too, and you're asking Hurts not to turn the ball over. And by doing that, we've said you should probably rely on your run game more. The one thing I'll criticize is I'd like to see more under center downhill run.
Yes, they didn't do that at all.
No, not at all. And that really makes me annoyed, but I can't be annoyed that they ran the ball when we said they really got to get back to doing that.
But you're playing to keep the game close. That's not a good way to make your money in the National Football League, considering how bad the Browns are.
But doesn't that go counter to you're making a lot of mistakes throwing the ball and you need to stabilize yourself?
I see you and I just don't see. I'll never think that way. I just don't. I've talked to so many coaches over the years. And once I got brainwashed to like not play to lose.
No, see, I don't. I
just don't think
this
that
2
way.
years ago. They did it 2 years ago into the Super Bowl. They ran the ball after a first tough 2 weeks. They ran the ball the week before Jacksonville. I forget who they played. They just decided the passing game wasn't there. They ran the ball. They won the game. Then they played Jacksonville. They weren't throwing the ball. It was raining. They ran the ball. I'm not saying do it for 10 games. I'm saying you have been turning the ball over for 15, 16 straight games now. You have a great running back and a good offensive line.
They couldn't run it, though. That's the problem. They couldn't.
Right, but if they abandon that and start throwing the ball over the place and throw a couple of picks, which they've been doing, the history has said they've been doing that.
Then design whatever you can. If you want to design a safer passing game on your point, then do that. But you just can't hide the quarterback when the other team's down so many guys in the secondary. I just can't do that. Knowing your personnel that you're going up against, if you can protect, throw the football against that secondary because they got all sorts of problems in the back.
You and I are very, very infrequently this far apart on a concept, but I'm
not going to agree with you.
Yeah, I'm going to stay. If they did this next week and the week after, I'm totally with you. You can't play careful quarterback or careful offense for 17 weeks. But if you need to correct something that you've been doing wrong for now, going back to last year, 15 some odd weeks, then I get it. And I think you have to crawl before you walk sometimes. I understand what your point is. I also think just getting Brown and Smith back, I mean, your offense is not like a fine-tuned, well-greased machine.
It wasn't.
Right. That's my point. By the way,
nothing worked.
The touchdown pass to A.J. Brown and even the clinching pass to A.J. Brown were not the greatest throws. Like A.J. literally reached back on the touchdown and pins it against his. That's the amazingness of A.J. Brown.
He is an amazing football player. He's so fit. We'd have to come up with a list of most physical receivers we've ever seen. We're unbelievably tough to tackle in space. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
He's another player. Where would they be without him? It's a tough one, but the coaches have a lot to correct and clean up. There's so much to correct. Like we put out a lot of stuff on the show today. We're gonna have a lot more when we get access to what the tape looks like and I can't wait till we have on Patreon Tuesday night with Greg Cosell. Patreon members, you guys run the show. Get your questions ready. And by the way, if you sign up this week, you get access to Greg Tuesday night for 30 minutes. It's all yours. We turn it over to you guys. And Wednesday night, Geoff and I have our notes from our people we speak to. And, you get us live. And then we're going to get Chuck Pagano, by the way, the former, going to get in touch with Chuck this week, the former Bears defense coordinator. He took over for Fangio when Vic became the Broncos head coach. I'm going to try to get with Chuck this week to get him back on here. He was great when we had him on before. He was
really good at explaining the concepts of the Fangio defense, the strengths, the potential weaknesses if you don't play it right, how opponents try to attack it, which we've seen. You really try to attack the edges and be patient and take what the defense gives. And we talked about how Vic has to figure out how much he trusts certain players because he's typically had some pretty big guys at linebacker from, Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis to the guys he had with the Bears. And, he had some pretty good, decent, fast ones in Miami. So I think he's still developing a trust factor with his inside linebacker crew there as far as what they can and can't do and how much he trusts them in certain situations. But yeah,
I would agree. No, I'd agree with that.
Back to offensively, though, that's where we were at. Nice to see. I do think the Eagles really have done a nice job. You remember earlier on in Nick Sirianni's career when they tried to run the crossing routes and rub routes, they would get OPI'd a lot, but they're doing a better job of creating the right spacing. That was a nice route by both Barkley and I want to say Stoll on the shallow cross from the right to left that sprung Devontae Smith open left to right to where he was able to turn up the corner and hit the touchdown. You didn't need three people running into each other to make that play executed well. So that's an even better bonus for it.
Yeah, they caused traffic. The term is causing traffic. They did a great job of that. Execution was really good. Look, there were some good things at offense. It's just the execution of the passing game was not very good. It seemed like there was a lot of really good protection, and we can't tell from TV. What's funny is that man, I don't know why the networks won't invest in it. If you watch Amazon Prime on Thursday, you can get all 22 looks. If you have Amazon Prime, it's so great. Every time I watch, you hit the, there's a button and it gives you all 22, and the guy narrates it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just don't know why the networks won't invest in it. For goodness sake, it's such a better look, because then you get a better idea if these guys are really open. Because sometimes announcers say, "Oh, nobody's open." More often than not, they're wrong. So I'd like to know if it was Hurts holding on to it, or were guys not getting open. We don't know.
There was a 3rd and 9 that I particularly remember where he had really good protection. They were in the Browns, like high red zone, maybe around the 20, maybe it was a little higher than that, 30. I'd have to go back and look. And the replay that we got just was not an all 22 replay. He winds up throwing incomplete in the end zone, Jahan Dotson. But when they showed some of the replay, it looked like a couple of guys would get open on their first cut. And if you just stick it and throw, you got a completion there. But we'll have to go check that. But yeah, the passing game, to your point, Adam, I mean, that it doesn't look per se corrected, but the upgrade in personnel with Brown and Smith make a big difference.
Oh, and I get it that you had, Ward left early, but Greg Newsom's a good player.
Yeah. Emerson's not bad.
Yeah, and Emerson Martin, they went after him. He's a good player. I know they're very high on him, but he's a guy that will give up plays. But they're down. Delpit had the concussion. Ronnie Hickman, who was filling in for Juan Thornhill, was out, so they're down 3 safeties. Old Fred, Rodney McLeod, wearing a quarterback number 12, returned the blocked field goal for a touchdown. And they rarely use D'Anthony Bell at safety, so they ran out of safeties. I thought it could have been a Goddard game, but we'll never know. It was actually a Calcaterra game, and he did make some plays today. That was good.
Who would have thought? Yeah. And by the way, not surprising, maybe that they struggled to run the ball without Dallas Goedert in there, because now you're playing Calcaterra more, and he's not a great blocker. They did get Stoll on the field as much as they could, but it's just different when you don't have Dallas Goedert out there to give the more guesswork to the defense. Are you running? Are you passing? You're in line. Does that mean you're going to release? Does that mean you're going to stay? I mean, there's a whole lot for the defense there that when Goddard's in the game that is impacted.
One thing I do want to add on the inactives. So right now, Jack Driscoll, he was up over Kennard, Gates, and Keegan. That was interesting. Jack Driscoll. I just wanted to mention that was the guy who was up today. And Paris Campbell never played. They only played 4 receivers.
Right.
He dressed but did not play. So what I'm thinking from 11 personnel, we'll see what the personnel groups look like. But with Goddard out, it's a situation where they had to make a decision how they were going to handle it. And then, of course, Mailata leaves and doesn't return. So that's something going forward. And we should mention that Slay it looked like his left knee didn't return. That's concerning. He had knee surgery in the offseason.
Yep.
Got it left early, very early. I think second series, never returned with a hamstring injury.
Yep.
That's concerning. And
of
Jordan
Mailata limped pretty poorly off the field there.
That was a hamstring, correct?
Did they actually announce it? I wasn't sure.
I believe it was a hamstring.
Okay. Well, that's always concerning with a big guy like, I mean, with anybody.
Yep. Really. Yeah. Now Fred Brown, who could play right or left tackle, he did play. He did. Fred Johnson, not Fred Brown. Fred Johnson played left tackle. Downtown Freddie Brown. For those of you over 50, you might remember with the Seattle Supersonics. But anyway, it's old school term. Old school. Deep before the 3-point line, by the way, deep ball shooter. But so they got injury concerns. We'll see what happens. Now they play the Giants next Sunday. The Giants play tomorrow night. So it'll be at MetLife Stadium, but the Giants play tomorrow night in what should be a fascinating game with the Bengals coming to town. They could score.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we'll keep our eyes on that. Last thing, we'll close it off. Listen, special teams has been bad this year. Just really, really bad. And it's weird. It was bad 2 years ago. It was really good last year. Now it's bad again. And I don't know if there's one particular culprit. You can always say, hey, the special teams coordinator's got to do a better job. I mean, Myles Garrett is a freak athlete. He blocks the kick, but they really have to clean that up, because if they're going to play this many close games, and it seems like every single Eagles game, especially ones they win, are a one-possession game, then you can't have these miscues on special teams. Yeah,
the positives were DeJean was really good returning punts, like really, really good, averaging nearly 13 yards per punt return. Mann was very good. I shouldn't say very good, solid as a punter to inside the 20. Isaiah Rodgers kind of shaky as a kickoff returner, but the big one, as you said, another gaffe, getting a field goal block. That's not good. I think that's got to be cleaned up. So they got a long way to go. You'd rather have this happen, like game week 2 where you go, okay, we got a lot of issues we got to clean up. This was coaches will tell you, but when you're having it after a bye, with Sirianni, I guess is 4-0 after buys, but man, this is not impressive. So I get it, fans. They don't want style points. They want style points. They want great play, and they didn't get it. So they're probably going to count this as half a win. But sorry, it does count a win in the NFL. It's not a tie.
Hey, by the way, next week's game against the Giants, right? That'll be October 20th, I believe. It's a Sunday game, right? Yep.
Yes.
October 20th, which means you will be very close to the year date of the last time the Eagles won a game by more than one possession. The October 22nd victory last year over the Dolphins, 31-17.
Wow.
Is their last win by more than a possession. Nail biters, baby.
That's incredible. Hey, and you know what? If for those who spend a little money on wagering, dogs of 7.5 points or more are covering between 70-80% this season.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, that's. And I know the Cardinals didn't today, but it's that it closed, I think, at 9.5. Look, the Eagles won. They got a nice schedule. They got to take advantage of it. They're not playing great football, but it's a long season.
It is a long season. All right. It will be a great week on Inside the Birds coming up. We'll, of course, have all of our shows. We'll have Ask Greg Cosell for our Patreon members. We'll have Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell for everybody later in the week. We'll have Gun on One. We'll have Inside the Birds podcast, Inside the Locker Room with Andrew DeCecco, the Rookie Diary with Will Shipley, who once again did not – I saw him on the field, I think, once or something like that. Maybe he was just walking to help. I don't know if he actually got – he didn't get a touch, but – he continues to not really be used in the run or passing game since the season opener, but we'll have that and lots of great coverage on InsideTheBirds.com, including Andrew DeCecco's observations from this game that will be up. So make sure you head to InsideTheBirds.com. For Adam Caplan, I'm Geoff Mosher. You've been watching Inside the Birds post-game live. We'll catch you on the next one.